Hello, my science friends. It's Miss Heather here, and we are talking all about animals and what they do in the cold winter months. Yesterday, we talked about some animals that might fly away, some kinds of birds and geese and butterflies, and that word, it's like move. It starts with a and it's called migrate. They migrate to a warmer place where it is sunny. Then we have some animals that decide they're going to eat a lot of food and bulk up and take a big nap. And those animals, if they're sleeping through the cold months, we say that they are hibernating. Yes, hibernating. And we have some animals who hibernate the whole cold winter, all the 2-3 months. They sleep. Can you imagine sleeping for 3 months and not eating or getting up or playing or getting water or going to the bathroom? They just sleep. And those are deep sleepers. There's a fancy science word. It starts with a T and I can't remember it, but I will look it up. Those animals, they sleep. They eat a lot of food before they take their winter nap. Frogs and turtles and snakes, those are deep, deep sleepers. They go under the mud or under a lot of leaves where it's kind of all blanketed up around them, and they sleep, and their heart rate slows down. And instead of big breath filling their lungs or filling their bodies, they just take little tiny breaths. Not very often. So if you saw them, you might not even think that they were still alive. But then we have other hibernators that sleep a little and wake up for a snack or a walk around or some just getting out into the nature. And then they come back and they go back to sleep. Bears and chipmunks and squirrels, those are usually short-term hibernators. They don't deep hibernate. And then there's the animals who stick it out, and they don't get a winter coat with a hat and a scarf and mittens on. Instead, they bulk up, they eat more food so that they have more fat in their body to keep them insulated or warm, and they get thicker fur, lots of fur. And that fur acts like a coat for us. That fur keeps them warm. They adapt to living where they are. So yesterday we talked about all different kinds of animals. The moose, he adapts. And the sheep, he goes in the barn. He says to the farmer, it's too cold for me to be out in the sheepfold. That's a Miss Susan word, in the sheepfold, or in the fence or the paddock. I need to be in the barn where it's warmer, where I can cuddle up next to other animals. Same with the cow. The cow doesn't want to be out in lots of snow. The deer probably will adapt and have thicker fur, but it's harder for them to find food, so they might sleep a little bit in the wintertime. And then I thought I had left a bird over here, but I don't have a bird. Some birds stick around. You can still see cardinal birds in the wintertime, but some birds do fly south where it's warmer. So I have some stories, and while I'm reading, you want to color your animal picture cards. The animals at the top, we're going to cut those out and put them in the winter home that you think that they would best like to take a nap in. And you'll also want to cut out all of your acorns. There's 12 altogether. You'll want to hide your acorns after you've cut them and see if you would make a good squirrel. I would not make a good squirrel. I can remember some things, but other things I'm very forgetful about. So if I had to hide 12 acorns and find them to eat them before my winter nap, I don't know if I'd find all 12. So you're gonna hide them around your house. Let some part of the day go by or tomorrow, then go on a search to see if you can remember where you hid 12 acorns. And don't hide them too easy. Be a little tricky, because you don't want to hide your acorns and have another squirrel come by and eat your acorns. All right, so I'm going to read the story. You go ahead and do some coloring. You will need scissors and you will need your glue stick for this activity. The animals' winter sleep. And if you look, there's quite a few animals that we have mentioned, and whether or not they are going to be a light sleeper, hibernating, or a deep sleeper. I have another book too on hibernation. Where do the northern animals sleep when it's nose-stinging cold and the snow drifts are deep? Bedded down in the spruce grove where the howling winds don't blow is a white-tailed deer. And there's all kinds of other animals that are hiding in the pictures. You'll have to look closely to see them. In a hollow log near the old fence row is a snowshoe hare. Look, he fills up the whole log. He's nice and snuggly in there. And on the fence, you see another creature. Wedged between the rocks, sleeping all alone, is a North American porcupine. You can tell it's a porcupine. What is his body covered with? Yes, lots of quills, they're called, or spikes. He has those needles that protect him when he's scared. Snug together under a crumbling wall of stone are some skunks. So they are underground, in a tunnel underground. In a mud and stick lodge, shaped like a dome, is a family of beavers. Remember we talked about them yesterday, that they would have this big dome of sticks that they use their teeth to break into smaller pieces to build their home? Look, this one's swimming up from the river or the water, and he has a hole that goes into his house. And I don't see another hole. So maybe this is for protection from other animals, and they can only get into their house from underneath. That's very clever. Curled up warm in their boulder cave home. Who would live in a boulder cave? Look, there's some clues here of what kind of creature it might be. There's a blue jay. I'll go slowly so that you can see. It's a black bear mama and her baby cubs. Inside a dead maple tree with family all around is a family of raccoons. You can tell because they have a black stripe down their nose and black circles around their eyes. And their tails, we can't see their tails because they're wrapped around them like a little blanket, but they have rings of black circles on their tails. Among twisted roots, among twisted roots in a den on the ground. This is called an ermine. And I don't know anything about this animal except for it looks like a weasel. It reminds me, yesterday we read a book about a stoat who had a white coat. This reminds me of the same. They might all be related. That would be a good thing to ask Google or to find out on the computer. Deep in a hillside burrow overlooking a farm is a fox, a red fox, but underneath the ground is the fox den with the baby fox. I think they're called, it's either cubs or kits, baby fox. Tail wrapped in a treetop nest, safe from all harm, is a squirrel. And if we look up at the tree at PYC, way up in the top, we see lots of big nests, and those are the squirrel houses. Tunneling into the stream bank in a leafy, soft nest. Look at this. He's sledding down the snowbank to get into the stream. Is an otter. They're lots of fun. And the otter looks like he has a way to get into his home from the water and from up top. In a chiseled out tree hole, it takes a night rest. Rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, a woodpecker. We have a few of those at preschool too that we can hear when we're outside. Buried in the soft snow where it sleeps until first light is a ruffled grouse. Look how regal it looks with these feathers on its head like that. But it's not in a nest. It's in the ground on the snow. That doesn't sound very warm to me. Shh. All the animals are fast asleep tight. Close your eyes now. Good winter's snug night. And I love this picture because it gives us an overview of all the animals that we have seen and their different homes. And here's the family. And then at the end of this book, I love when the authors give us real information to look up or to find out more information on what was in the story. All right, how are you doing with your coloring? I used my whole box of crayons. I used a lot of different colors. And I wanted to make sure that I had the homes so that you could really see where these animals were going to go. I'm going to cut off straight across because we don't need this part. We need the animals, but we don't need this stuck on the top. So now I have a straight line above my tree. And now I'm going to cut out the squirrel, the sleeping squirrel. Have I told you guys how much my dog Lottie snores? She's very loud. Do you have a snoring pet at your house? Or maybe you have a snoring daddy or mommy, or maybe you snore. And now I have the bunny. I don't think it's a hare because remember what we read about the hares last week? Their ears are very long. They have really long ears. He looks like he has normal rabbit ears. And the snake. I like snakes in the garden because they get rid of some of the bad things that I don't want eating all my things in the garden. But I don't want any snakes near me. And I don't want any snakes in my house. And a bear. We do not have bears in our area. In O'Fallon or Belleville or Mascoutah or Caseyville. But they do live in America. So we have some choices here. We have a hole in the tree. That's a house in the wintertime. We have 2 underground nests and we have a cave. So let's look at our animals. A snake, a squirrel, a rabbit, and a bear. Let's do the one we definitely know. Who is going to live in the cave? What do you think? Do you think it will be the rabbit or the squirrel or the snake or the bear? Think on it. We've read a lot of stories. Yeah, I think it's going to be the bear. And the bear might even have some cubs. You could draw some cubs in the cave with the mama bear if you wanted to. Sorry, my glue stick lid is not wanting to come off. I'm wondering if oh, it's brand new. I thought maybe it was stuck to the inside of the top. Just a dot, not a lot. And I'm gonna rub it on my cave. Now, we have a rabbit, a squirrel, and a snake left. Who's going to live in the tree? A snake in the tree? Maybe a log on the ground. But a standing up tree? I don't know if that would be his first choice. How about a rabbit up in the tree? How's a rabbit gonna get up in the tree? That'll leave squirrel. Do you think squirrel would like a nest in the tree trunk? I think that would be a good place for squirrel. That's where I'm gonna put my squirrel, inside the tree. And then I have 2 undergrounds. One is underneath the tree and one is underneath the cave. I'm gonna put the snake right here under the tree. And I'm gonna put my rabbit. The rabbit's gonna go under the cave in a burrow. A burrow is a hole or a tunnel underground. Do you think those are good homes for our animals in the wintertime? I think so too. You'll have to tell me more about the animals that you think would be also hibernating as the winter months go on. You can tell me at school. So you're going to cut out all your acorns. I just kind of cut mine in a circle shape around it, or an oval shape. I didn't cut them right up against the black line because I didn't want them to fall apart or cut off the tops of my acorns or the stem. I just wanted a nice little acorn shape because remember, we're going to hide the acorns. So now you have to think of how many different places. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 acorns. And for a squirrel, I bet that's one day's snack for a squirrel. So you're going to now take these and find 12 different, don't put them all in the same spot, because if you're a squirrel and you put all of your acorns in the same spot and another animal came by to eat them, you wouldn't have any. So you want to put your acorns in 12 different spots and then go on and play the rest of the day and have dinner tonight and have night time, and tomorrow try to find where your acorns. I'm wondering if your brain will remember all 12 places. You'll have to tell me at school, because I think if I had to hide 4, I'd be pretty good at remembering. And I could certainly remember right afterwards, but a whole nother day? And remember, when squirrels hide their nuts, they're there for a long time. Some of those acorns are there for months. And then right before it gets cold, as the temperatures change, they go around and collect all the nuts that they've been hiding, and they take them to their nest. So if they wake up for a snack, they can have an acorn snack, a squirrel snack, during their hibernating months. So I cannot wait to hear if you would make a very good squirrel, or it's a good thing you're a human because you might forget where they are. All right, I have one more story called Hibernation, and look at that. Is that a squirrel? It's smaller than a squirrel, and it has stripes down its back. It has very tiny ears and a skinny tail, not a big bushy squirrel tail like from Gray Squirrel Swish Your Bushy Tail song. It has a little skinny tail. Do you know what that creature's called? I'll give you a clue. Chip. I bet you said it. Chipmunk. These are chipmunks. And where I used to live, in Virginia, we had lots of chipmunks. Every year when the winter rolls in, it's far too cold for many animals to live. So some of the animals, like birds, have to migrate and go to warmer places. Look at all those birds. Other animals decide to stay put, and some of them take a nap. When an animal's ready to hibernate, it looks for a warm, safe place, such as a cave or a burrow underground, to curl up for the winter. These areas are well protected from the harsh winter weather and also keep them safe from predators. Oh, there's the chipmunk. He's on the move trying to collect and gather all of the nuts he can before he goes in for a sleep. Some hibernators, such as woodchucks, chipmunks, hedgehogs, and bats, sleep so deeply that if you came upon them and you tapped them, you would have thought that they were no longer alive. Their breathing and heart rate drops to very low levels, and it's difficult to wake them up. These are called true hibernators. And look at that cute little hedgehog. He's all curled up and his face is tucked in the middle with all of his quills around. Other hibernators, we're going to learn the big word that I couldn't remember. We're getting to it. Other hibernators, such as bears and raccoons, are lighter sleepers during the winter months. They can be woken up easily, and they sometimes come out from their sleeping place to look for food or water. A short period of hibernation, where they're not deep sleeping, like this is called torpor. Torpor, T-O-R-P-O-R, torpor. And bears are not deep hibernators. They're short-term hibernators, and they are in a group called animals who torpor. I made it a silly sentence. Before cuddling up for winter, hibernators try to eat a lot. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, God did not make us with those cheeks. I have chubby cheeks, but he didn't make us with our cheeks that go boom, pop way out with lots and lots of acorns in there. He's going to store them in his cheeks and then run up the tree and put them in his nest. A lot of animals don't eat a lot during hibernation. And the light sleepers, they can wake up, but they don't eat a lot because their tummies, they're not moving around a lot, so their tummies aren't super hungry. Much of the food animals eat to prepare for hibernation is stored as fat, and the fat on their bodies helps to keep them warm. The food they eat helps the animals, and this thick extra layer of fat, he doesn't look too chubby, but that is keeping his body temperature warmer. A special substance in the animal's blood tells them when it's time to store up for food, search for shelter, and finally go to sleep. So it's in the way that God made them that they know that winter is coming. They don't have a weatherman on the news saying, bears, you better start getting ready. Hibernation time is coming. Their body automatically knows. God made them so that they automatically know that winter is coming. Here's a tiny little dormouse. He's going to get ready for winter and find a good cozy nest to sleep in. Here's a woodchuck. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He is getting ready, eating lots and lots of acorns, and his teeth are always growing, so they have to gnaw on things and chew, chew, chew. But in the wintertime, their teeth do not grow. Oh, it's hard to even see on this picture. These are a whole colony of bats hanging upside down. And they cuddle up together to share the heat, to share the warmth from one body to the next body. Some cold-blooded animals, like frogs and toads, they bury themselves down in the mud. And we read about them yesterday. Look, you can hardly even see. Here he is under the mud. And that mud is insulating and keeping him warm. Snakes. Snakes also hibernate. They like to stay together to keep themselves extra warm. This page, just looking at it, gives me the shivers. Okay. I can't even count how many snakes there are. They're all intertwined together in one big huddle. I just know it's nothing that I would ever want to encounter. Fish, well, they're in the water. They can't get out on land to warm up, right? So they go into a state of hibernation and go way down low in the water. And they stay there and float down low until the warm water wakes them up. Snails. Didn't even think about snails. Snails, estivation. Similar to hibernation. Let me read real quick. Very high temperatures or drought, some animals like snails and crocodiles estivate in order to survive. It finds a safe place to rest. It doesn't eat very much food, and their heart and breathing rates slow down. So it's kind of like the animals that don't deep hibernate, but the light hibernators. Snails hibernate. I learned something new today. After several weeks of hibernation, animals wake slowly because they don't have a lot of energy. They haven't been eating. And remember, food gives us energy. They haven't eaten a lot of food in the winter. Luckily, the fat that they have stored gives them just enough energy to wake up and tell them, we need to go find some food. The animals will then eat and sleep normally until the next year, when their body tells them that winter is coming, and then they will hibernate again. It's a big cycle. So I hope you enjoyed that, learned some new things, because books have all kinds of information for us to learn. I loved learning about hibernating with you today. So take your acorns, hide them in the house, finish up your coloring sheet and glue it together, and I will see you again soon, my friends.